The IPL makes money, so the show goes on, even if the bio bubble bursts. It's the same for politics. Look at what happened in the assembly elections. Mega rallies, road shows, and when the results came out, celebratory rallies, a huge party on the streets, even violence. So pandemic or not, two things never change: corporate money games and political power games. We saw one play out over the weekend. Thankfully, it was on social media, so the ordinary citizens were spared. At the center of it were a couple of embassies in New Delhi. The row started with a video on Twitter. This one on your screens right now. It shows oxygen cylinders being delivered to the Philippine embassy in New Delhi. The men delivering the cylinders belong to the Youth Congress. For those unfamiliar, they're the youth wing of India's principal opposition party, the Congress Party. The matter should have ended there. But what's philanthropy without social media posts? And what's politics without a bit of chest thumping? So opposition leaders started sharing this video. Former Union Minister Jairam Ramesh went one step ahead and he asked whether India's foreign ministry was sleeping. Was it indeed? The matter could have ended there as well. But what's politics without one-upping your rival? So the reply came right from the top. India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar was the one who responded. He said there were no Wuhan virus cases at the Philippine embassy. So who needed these oxygen cylinders? We'll discuss that in a bit. Jaishankar called this an unsolicited supply. Then the story shifted to the New Zealand High Commission, again in New Delhi. They posted this tweet, which was later deleted. It was an appeal for oxygen cylinders. The Youth Congress jumped in again and another video followed. This time they were at the Kiwi mission delivering oxygen. Now, it's highly unusual for a diplomatic mission to reach out to the opposition in any country, especially in the middle of a crisis. It sends a wrong message politically. And New Zealand was quick to recognize this. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern admitted that her diplomats chose the wrong route.
High Commission has apologised for that, and that's for the fact that there are channels that they can and should be going through for such matters. But I should recognise that we do have a local staff member who's within the compound who has been very unwell. So that was the basis on which that call was made. But again, recognising that there are other ways and means that they've recognised that could and should have been used in that case.
So New Zealand should have been more mindful of the protocols. It was some employees' moment of desperation on Twitter. But there's no denying the fact that our leaders, Indian leaders, should have been more mature. Jairam Ramesh continued with his jibes on Twitter. And this time, the MEA spokesperson set the record straight. And I'm quoting, "The chief of protocol and heads of divisions are in continuous touch with all high commissions and embassies. And MEA is responding to their medical demands, especially those related to COVID. This includes facilitating their hospital treatment. Given the pandemic situation, all are urged," listen to this, "all are urged to not hoard essential supplies, including oxygen." Couple of things to note here. Most importantly, this entire controversy was needless and avoidable. We don't know the exact situation at the New Zealand High Commission, so we will not speculate on that. But the fact is, such back and forth helps nobody. This is not the time for saber rattling on social media. Could the Youth Congress not have coordinated with the MEA? Yes, they could have. Could seasoned politicians not have dragged this row on Twitter? Of course they could have. But in politics, it's all about playing to the gallery. It's not so much about helping as about being seen helping. We have seen leaders flag off relief trucks in the past. Imagine that. People eagerly waiting for aid, but the trucks are held off so that the leader can flag them off. And this is not the first time that politics has let India down. It won't be the last time either. But unprecedented crises call for unprecedented measures. So maybe our leaders can hold off on playing politics for a bit. Because once the dust settles, there will be plenty of time for that. But now let's circle back to the embassies. Why are they appealing for oxygen? The foreign minister says the Philippine embassy has 0 cases. So the cylinders were a precaution. They weren't actively looking for them. But considering how pressed we are for oxygen, precaution is in effect hoarding. And this applies for all embassies. We realize how vulnerable the diplomats feel. They're thousands of miles away in a foreign land in the middle of a deadly pandemic. It's not an ideal situation. But there are patients who need oxygen right now, not hypothetically in the future. So hoarding is simply not acceptable. And this was the MEA's message to embassies and high commissions in India: do not hoard essentials, including oxygen. As for the politicians, these diplomats are our guests. Helping them is our collective responsibility. India has offered vaccines to all foreign diplomats. A few of them have already gotten the jabs. But the season of politics is perennial. Crisis or not, they continue to squabble, unfortunately. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.